Fire them up. That's what we do here at the Andrew Gosser Show. We fire them up. Thank you for tuning into the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. We are moving and grooving. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming on the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up our 50,000 watt blowtorch, like, share, and subscribe to the stream, please. Greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on X at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Phone number today if you want to be part of the show. It's going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit some topics that other people wouldn't necessarily find or see. Number is 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. Yep. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. That's right. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but God gave the increase. Gentle answer turns away wrath. Harsh word excites anger. And the show was completely laid out till about 15 minutes ago. And then I got this video sent to me by one of our unknown texters, and it's going to lead the show. Now, far be it from me to never not quote somebody, even if they're on the other side, when they're making sense. But my goodness gracious, of all people, John F. Kerry, former Secretary of State, is at the World Economic Forum. And he says the quiet out loud. And there's like a whole train to this. And I don't hear ABC talking about it. I don't hear CNN talking about it. I don't see MS Now. Well, what does MS Now actually talk about? That they don't really talk about anything except themselves. But our media, which is supposed to be a cornerstone of our representative republic, the public square where we get to go and talk about ideas, an open forum, they're coming after it at the World Economic Forum, and we've got Americans who are doing the heavy lifting for them. And this is a 2-minute and 6-second video. We're going to just kind of cut and paste as we go along here. And this is John F. Kerry, former Secretary of State, former presidential candidate, former U.S. Senator. I mean, Democrat, should be say Democrat on that side, but anybody who's been involved in politics, even tacitly, over the last 30 years knows who John F. Kerry is.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies.
And I'm going to try to get this hooked up again, see if this can get into the output in the right spot there, because it's just going through the speaker in the computer, which is not cool.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue.
And this is the part that really got me, is what he's saying isn't wrong. Social media is getting people angrier, angrier, and angrier. I was watching a report over the weekend talking about how in some places in the world they want to merge X with Blue Sky, specifically in Europe, where X and Blue Sky, X is more center of the political spectrum, where Blue Sky is way on the left. There isn't really a right-wing social media platform. And if there is, please feel free to text me at 601-879-5060 and tell me what that right-wing platform is so I can go infiltrate it. I'd appreciate that. But it's also getting harder to have consensus. And when I had to actually listen to this twice, because I was like, well, he ain't exactly wrong.
It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree.
You eviscerated yourself. Who were the referees? The New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, the Dallas Morning News, the LA Times, Seattle Times. All of the mainstream newspapers that used to be the referees, they no longer were the referees. They were more like the overarching officials. The referees were ABC News, NBC News, CBS News. And then this thing called cable came into play, CNN News, MSNBC News. Can't forget Fox News. Someone's saying that Fox News is right wing. Fox News is not right wing. Fox News is right wing, left wing made to look like the right wing, but it's not. They don't care for the right wing at all. Newsmax is all right. Newsmax is all right. But you got a point there. The arbiters of where our news comes from now is a free for all.
And people go, and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in.
Are you in a vicious circle? Do you just go to the same places over and over again? Or do you try to go watch other things? And it's hard watching the left. The center left isn't bad to watch. I have friends who are liberals, and they have some bit of common sense about them. People might not agree with that, but I do. But these ultra whack leftists, the ones that are like 30% more prone to political violence now than just 10 years ago, I've got that somewhere in the stack of stuff. But are you caught in that circle where you're just going to your same 4 or 5 news sources? That's why I implore everybody, hey, you want to know what? Definitely go out and have your trusted news agents, but go out and see what the other side is saying too. And then when you find validity in it, actually promote it. Because if you don't, then number one, you're a hypocrite. 2, you're not actively being intellectually honest with yourself. And this social media, not only is it making it harder for us to find consensus, but it's melting our brains all at the same time. It is true. The brain melt is crazy.
This, and there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera.
How do you curb those? Well, we tried that in 2019 with COVID and the conservative think being banned on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, then Twitter, everywhere else that had a social media footprint, and conservative thinking was banned. We even tried to form our own type of right-wing news media. Remember that? What came before Getter? I can't remember the name of it, but Apple iPhone and Samsung App Store took the app off of the iPad, App Store, so you couldn't even get it. That's how evil the left is, and that's what I tell my leftist friends all the time. When you have to ban me from speaking because you're afraid of what's gonna come out of my mouth because you won't be able to rebut it, well, then you've got a problem. I always tell this audience, you are what you can consume. And I'll tell you what I consumed over the weekend, but I wanna finish this up before we get to the first break of the hour.
But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick, and
that's a new key word, by the way. When a news source is sick, ABC is sick, CBS is sick, NBC is sick, CNN is sick. MS Now is sick.
Has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation. Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So
what is our major block is that the American way of life has been demarginalized and centered down onto poor education, where kids can't handle the way that they should act in public. They melt down in the classroom. The teacher can't handle it. The parent can't handle it. And then it turns out to be a correctional issue. Whereas if you listen to Clay Edwards' show in the second hour, where I was the guest this morning, we talked about the armed robbery in Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee, for $3 and 2 Red Bull. Man, if you're going to rob a store, you're going to rob it for just your demands are going to be $3 and 2 Red Bull. We're melting down as a society, our free society, because we're not acting responsibly. There is no personal responsibility anymore.
what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways.
Yeah, when you win the vote on the ground, like the Republicans did in 2020, and you have it stolen, or when you win the ground on 2024, and there are enough weak Republicans, dare I say closet Democrats, who won't go along with the change, then what happens? You got to wait till you get enough leftists in power to where you can change the Constitution, change the way that we've governed ourselves, change what got us here to the first place. In Germany, another over 130-year-old church burned to the ground. Nothing really talked about it, but a mosque burns down and it's front page news. What got us here?
And
So
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing.
Democracy is a bastardized word by the left that makes you think you have freedom when you really don't. Where there's a chicken in every pot. Where there's a Coca-Cola in every refrigerator. Where the Starbucks is open on every corner. Where oil is always $1.99, but we say that we want green energy. Our kids can't even define what a democracy is anymore. I know I talked to some of them.
And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Will we break the fever in the United States? What's the free fever? Is it freedom? Is it no King's protests? Antifa protests? Free Palestine protests? 4th of July parade? Christmas holiday? Resurrection Sunday? Hanukkah? TDS? IDS? What is American freedom? Is it true freedom of thought? Or is it the apparent lack of, or the fallacy of freedom that the Democrats consistently try to impose on us? It's hard being a conservative. It's hard being a free thinker. We get challenged all the time. And not only that, we get challenged not by facts and data, but we get attacked and challenged with feeling. Oh, doesn't it make you feel bad that this is happening in Jackson? We are all screwed up. And when we get back, I've got more videos of this. And I'm just here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the full press is on to try to get rid of America, whether it be from inside or out. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
who will really command the fourth industrial revolution and its technology like artificial intelligence.
What's your sense of who's best placed at this time to lead the world into the fourth industrial revolution? Because you pretty much created this term. We're seeing the kind of technological strides that China has made with Huawei, with the 5G technology. Do you believe that this could potentially be China's time once again?
We should make here again let's say a differentiation. On the one hand, we have state capitalism. On the other hand, we have shareholder or private capitalism. So it's a clash between two systems. I believe that state capitalism in the short term provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources to reach a specific objective. But I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with a social responsibility.
Good old Klaus over there giving his opinion. Klaus Schwab. He'll be up next. Oh, yeah. It's the dulcet tones of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And this segment is brought to you by Antique Mall of the South. 14,000 square feet of Americana in a climate-controlled showroom, making it one of the largest antique malls anywhere. Over 70 vendors under one roof, a wide variety of dealers offering unique, curated items of all types in one place. The Sweet Bee and I love going there. We go there at least once a month, sometimes twice. It's kind of like a date day for us. It's out of the heat or out of the elements. Kind of nice. It's got a wide selection of items and antiques, unique fine furniture, home decor, collectibles, gifts, jewelry, and more. And again, what I like about this is it's got a real piece of Mississippi history in there. You're finding stuff that you won't find in other places. They're on Highway 51 in Ridgeland. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And go ahead and check them out. We are very grateful and thankful for Antique Mall, the sponsoring the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to continue on with this with Mr. Klaus Schwab. You know him. Some people think that he is the evil genius, or some people even have called him the Antichrist. I won't go that far, but I will say that he is saying some very leftist stuff that should make your skin crawl, and you should genuinely be worried about. And I've got this clip right here because it feeds right into what John F. Kerry was talking about.
Who will really command the fourth industrial revolution and its technology like artificial intelligence?
What's your sense of who's best placed at this time to lead the world into the fourth industrial revolution? Because you pretty much created this term. We're seeing the kind of technological strides that China has made with Huawei, with the 5G technology. Do you believe that this could potentially be China's time on?
And I just want to say this is coming from India Today. And they're actively talking about how do we get rid of American democracy. Although it's not really American democracy, it's American republicanism, because we're a representative republic. That's why, even though we only have 4 congressional districts, we have 2 U.S. senators. Even though California has 40 plus congressional districts, they only have 2 U.S. senators. It's that representative republic that keeps everything in balance. And I know it ticks off a lot of us Republicans who send, quote unquote, Republicans to office, but we've mangled our Constitution in such a way that the state houses don't get to send our senators. We do. So we just get a carbon copy. One gets elected every 2 years, one gets elected every 6 years. Makes it a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. But let's hear what I keep on saying Charles Schwab, but it's not Charles Schwab. It's Klaus Schwab.
Again.
We should make here again let's say a differentiation. On the one hand, we have state capitalism. On the other hand, we have shareholder or private capitalism. So it's a clash between 2 systems.
A clash between 2 systems, and it's been clashing long before the Soviet Union and the United States of America, long before England against the United States of America, long before the English, the Spanish, and the French, long before the Greeks, long before the Romans. It goes back. There's always been a clash. And you know what? Personal liberty and freedom always ends up trumping everything else out in the end. It sways back and forth, but people are genuinely happier when they're in a freedom to do what they need to do. Now, there's a responsibility that comes with it, and that's the spot we're coming into right now. Is Americans, we have no responsibility. We really don't. We claim our First Amendment rights, but we don't want to be held responsible for the things that we say. We want Second Amendment rights, but we don't want to be held accountable for our actions. We are at we're almost at the apex point of max liberty and freedom with the most responsibility. And now the responsibility is going to start falling off, and you see it in our classrooms. You know, this weekend, I probably got 40 or 50 texts all talking about kids melting down, enjoying that kind of segment where we're talking about the teachers who are giving up. And you appreciate it because you don't get to hear about it. We hear about the Mississippi Miracle. We hear about how great Rankin County schools are doing. And I'm not saying that we haven't done good things, but if you were looking at America right now, our kids are addicted to cell phones, and it's more powerful than crack. It's more powerful. It's worse than fentanyl. Fentanyl will kill you. This stuff is going to put you in a lifelong prison. You won't care what you have to do as long as you've got your iPhone device. But Mr. Schwab here is trying to get us to go to a different point of view.
I believe that state capitalism in the short term provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources.
State capitalism mobilizes quickly. We can go ahead, and when there's a hurricane, we can go ahead and mobilize resources to help people out. As long as you're not a Trump supporter with Biden in office, where he's going ahead and pulling resources away from conservatives and Trump supporters. Remember that with FEMA? It's like these guys, they want all the goodies of capitalism and freedom, but all the control of despotism and communism and socialism. And our kids are so stupid, they're more worried about watching the latest episode of Bluey than actually learning about what's going on in the world.
To reach a specific objective. But I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with a social responsibility.
Stakeholder capitalism. Where have you heard that before in speeches? Who are the stakeholders? It's not the people who are pounding the stake into the ground. Who are the stakeholders? It's not the people who are doing the job. It's people who are benefiting from the job. Who are the stakeholders? Is stakeholders another name for taxpayers? I mean, there's real deep thoughts here that, I mean, you could have whole entire shows on the difference between capitalism and socialism. And every time capitalism is tried, it works. And we don't have any examples of socialism working going back. And Venezuela didn't work. Cuba didn't work. USSR didn't work. We're finding out China is not working so well. Capitalism works until socialism infects it and turns it the other way. Examples of this are Great Britain, France, Spain. They were not real democracies, no, but they were more on the freedom side than they were the Democrat socialist side. You go look at the best example of this in the entire world is go look in the differences between East and West Germany. Andrew, there's only one Germany. Yeah, because you were born after the wall. But us Gen Xers, and boomers, we remember the wall. We remember the fear of being nuked into oblivion. Our enemy today doesn't care if they get nuked into oblivion. They got their 72 virgins waiting for them. And if you haven't read about that and you're a Christian, you're wrong. You should read about just how crazy some of that stuff is. I often talk about what did you consume this weekend? What's the last book you've read? I mean, it's tough. We are being more and more geared down into our silos. Social media is a part of that. The news media is a part of that. Even our politics are part of that. And we need to be widespread. We need to have a wide breadth of information and sources for news and entertainment. Because if we don't, we're going to allow these people who are playing a much bigger game to end up winning. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
I can control what
You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect
any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. I know that there's other things out there. People want to talk about Project Freedom, about to go down, opening up the Straits of Hormuz. I did watch the Iranian video of the Bay liners with dual outboard motors with a 50 cal mounted on top, shooting down a Navy destroyer. I love that. I love the video of the Iran putting back out a cockpit of a F-4 Phantom sold to them in 1977 when I was 5 years old, flying a low level, simulating an attack on Saudi Arabia. I'm not falling for the propaganda. And Clay and I were talking about it in the hour that we were spending time together about all these Trumpers who are now all of a sudden anti-Trump because of one issue. And everybody wants to say that we're losing, or this is Israeli derangement syndrome. I'm just not falling for it. I mean, I'm not falling for it. I've seen too much of the left to say I'm going to do something different. And it's not to say that we can't criticize President Trump, because I have all the time when I disagree with him. I just don't go full Thomas Massey moronic statements. And if you think that you feel sorry for voting for President Trump, let me remind you.
You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick,
There's that word sick again.
And, has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation. Our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
For your safety, we're going to shut down your First Amendment right.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there
You're right. There's repercussions to what you say, but you still get to say it.
are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence.
Yeah, it's incitement of violence. We got examples right here.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the wall.
I'm going to stop it right there because I can go on for another 3 minutes. Andy, you played that before. Why are you wasting time? Because sometimes liberals tune in and liberals tune out. But I know liberals listen. You don't hear about Republicans going to punch somebody in the face. When you do hear a Republican or a conservative-minded person saying something stupid, they're normally self-corrected before the law enforcement can get there. You don't have whole mashups put together of left-wing stuff. The mainstream media will sit there and will talk about the Proud Boys or some organization that ended up not being guilty of anything in the first place. The punishment is the process. The process is the punishment. Where have we heard that before? They'll come out and sue you, like the Southern Poverty Law Center, for saying something that is deemed impassable. And then you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars defending yourself against a defamation lawsuit. We are at a point to where we have turned over our responsibilities as being a parent and teaching our kids right from wrong at an early age to handing it over to the government. Project Head Start, pre-K, K. What got us to where we hit the Industrial Revolution so hard and did so well? What got us through the 60s and 70s, even through the 80s and early 90s? And what did we start turning away from? I do find it kind of ironic that they talk about actors assassinating presidents. And it was Abraham Lincoln who was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, an actor, a Republican assassinated by a Democrat actor. I'm still absolutely repulsed that their education system doesn't teach about the Civil Rights Act, about how that actually got voted into office. I think everybody should hear the words of John or Lyndon Baines Johnson. Read as matter of fact. Could you imagine if I went down to State Street in Woodrow Wilson and just started reading Lyndon Baines Johnson's quote on a bullhorn? What would happen to me right outside there by Jackson State and UMMC? Holy smokes. No, don't hook me up. I'm just telling you what your president said. We have completely lost the plot. We have completely lost the plot. Texter calling in saying, play the rest of the video. Play the rest of the video. All right, I'll play just a little bit more of it.
White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station.
The only place you've ever seen a Republican speak out about something is not even a Republican. It's the Christian street preachers preaching in front of Target saying that homosexuality is wrong. Transing kids is wrong. That's about the most uprising you see out of a conservative. And then what happens to those guys? People on the right and the left attack them. Oh, we don't like that. We don't want to be hurt. You don't want to be self-convicted. We don't want any of that. Yeah, I forgot about Maxine Waters. Texter saying that I gotta get the Maxine Waters in. Let's get the Maxine Waters in.
You get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Shooting at police vehicles. And by the way, those are videos that I used from the beginning of the show to now are all on my X feed at Andrew Gosser. You can go watch them there, save them for later. Validate what I'm saying. If you don't agree with me, I'd love to hear it. Between Don't Tread on Me, Libs of TikTok, and Mazemore, I'm in pretty good company. I've got a lot of quote-unquote political ammunition. Not sure if that's the right word to use. But I've got a lot of political ammunition. It's not my fault that one side is going out there provoking violence and the other side is not. Those are just my opinions. This is the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. It is the Andrew Gosser Show. First hour in the can. People are already texting in. The network news has been infiltrated and infected with an evil virus. Yep, that's not a lie right there. They have become incapable of telling truth and facts. Oh, I think they tell truth and facts, but it's always guided in a perception and a reality that isn't necessarily portraying what's happening in the real world. It is their version of reality. It's like my truth. What's my truth is not your truth. My truth is that right now the sky is sunny, there's not a cloud in the sky, and the sky is blue. Your truth might be something totally different, but the science says that that's what the truth is, right? People are asking me for the video of the Iranian. You, so some of y'all need to go back to school. Here, I am retweeting the. I referenced a video of the IRGC talking about their bayliners with 2 outboard motors and stuff. And yes, Operation Freedom of opening up the Straits of Hormuz starts today. I'm getting this from U.S. Homeland Security News, and they've got a great picture there, and it's got the USS Normandy guided missile cruiser 60 on the main, leading a flight of 3 cruisers. Only problem with this is USS Normandy was retired 4 months ago. She's in Philadelphia. It's a shame because she was a great ship. I had to sail with her. Honestly, I think she was our cruiser for the USS America Battle Group on all 3 of my cruises and a lot of the smaller stuff that we did. She was always busy. Normandy was a great ship. I got to go take a tour over once. It wasn't too bad of a deal there. And there's so much I can talk about Iran, and we will in the next hour, but I also got something kind of special planned for the first segment of the next hour. You're not going to want to miss it because there is a lot of good news out there. We are opening up the Straits of Hormuz. The cartel that is OPEC is starting to dissolve. Things are starting to change. It's going against what I would say the globalists or the one world government or whatever we want to call it. I don't want to be labeling it as one word because when you put it on a certain term and someone says, "Oh, that's conspiracy theory." It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build bridges, not destroy them. Mend fences, don't tear them down. Isn't there some verse about that? Good fences make good neighbors. In the next hour, we are going to talk about that. We also have to talk about the farmers and who's protecting the farmers. I'll tell you what, our garden is going. I hope yours is too. Because as a farmer, when I look at some of this stuff coming back, farmers ain't looking too hot right now. They're in trouble. When it becomes more profitable not to plant than to plant, the system is turned upside down. And you don't even know it yet. You go and ask some of these kids who are 12, 13, and 14, just go to the Kroger. That's where they grow it. Just go to the Walmart. That's where they grow it. No common sense, ladies and gentlemen. No common sense. But we try to combat that every day right here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
So you guys are just like State Farm, right? So that's a no then.
Stop living on a prayer and get State Farm.
Another chance to.
Do you want a front row seat to this?
Unexpected dance break? Geico is here for it. And everything else.
The stretch and pitch. Swung on and popped up again. Off third. Hayes has room. Hayes makes the catch. Yankees win. The Yankees win. The
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal that is 103.9 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to our streams. We'd really appreciate that. Help us grow the radio station. Be awesome. We'd appreciate that greatly. Look, if you want to be part of the program today, number is 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. No matter how you interact with the show, the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. Gentle answers turns away wrath, but a harsh word incites anger. And for this segment, I want to bring us back to a time when you could go to a film and you didn't have to worry about what your kid was going to see. And today just happens to be one of the days that one of those films that came out that literally is driving our current generation. I mean, if you want to go back to the movie that changed everything, everybody knows what it is. You just can't help but smile a little bit, you know? Yep. I'm a Star Wars nerd. Please don't call the show and spoil Maul Shadow Lord. I specifically got Disney for 1 month and 1 month only so I could watch Maul Shadow Lord. But today is May the 4th, and it's considered Star Wars Day. And I thought I would use that as an example to talk about our culture, the way it used to be, and Star Wars in general, because Star Wars, you think about, that's what really turned Hollywood in from what I would call the analog Hollywood to the digital Hollywood. George Lucas and John Williams, who wrote the score, by the way, and some people say that John Williams is more inspirational than George Lucas, and that is a real debate that people can have back and forth, and I'm not going to call you out on either side. I will say that I have all the Star Wars CDs buried away somewhere, not just the movies, but the music. I absolutely love the music. I can remember buying episode number 1 and listening to Qui-Gon Jinn's Noble End. That kind of ruined the movie for me, but you know, in just certain stories, I mean, or in certain music scores, just played such a powerful upbringing in my life personally. I've said it on the show before that you can control people through music. Whether you put on something calming, something inspirational like the Star Wars fam theme, want to get somebody angry? Go throw on some gangster rap. That'll hype you up real quick. And I'm not saying that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd be a hypocrite to each and every one of you if I didn't say I didn't listen to some Eminem or some Dre or some NWA before going on a mission in Afghanistan. I'd just be a hypocrite. That's what the guys wanted to listen to. And hey, if the boys want to listen to Straight Outta Compton, then that's what they're going to listen to. But I'm not saying that's the greatest thing to do. I'd much rather listen to Star Wars. Our culture is like fighting for each other right now. And May the 4th, I mean, people who say Star Wars isn't relevant anymore. Kathleen Kennedy destroyed it. And I have to say, if I'm being truthful with you, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, Bob Iger, have done a great job of ripping the soul out of Star Wars. Our kids don't care anymore. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, she knows I love Star Wars. She could give a flip. Now, my 3 boys, yeah, they like Star Wars. My sisters love Star Wars, so it's not a gender thing. It's when you quit telling good stories, which is why Hollywood is in the mud. I mean, when's the last time anybody's ever cared about getting a Grammy or an Oscar? Golden Globe. Who cares anymore? when all they're going to talk about is their own personal sexuality walk and who got on somebody's couch first. Today is a great day to celebrate hope and storytelling and something that isn't instantaneous gratification. Think of, I try to explain this to my daughter and some of her friends when they listen, is how we had to wait years for stories where they can just binge it all in a day. They don't understand the waiting game, the imagination. Think about between Star Wars: A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. We had to wait so long. I think it was 3 years, wasn't it? 77 to 80, almost 4 years to 81. And then in 83, Jedi came out, if I'm not mistaken. If my dates are wrong, I apologize. I'm not the Star Wars holocron that I used to be. It's not that important to me. But I do recognize that the importance of good cinema in Hollywood having a positive impact in many people's lives, regardless of race or gender. And I just thought it was cool to start off the day with something a little bit positive in the second hour, talking about Star Wars Day. Yeah, man, Luke Skywalker was the bomb. Darth Vader was an evil dude. And you want to talk about the ultimate cliffhanger in cinematography history. I won't spoil it, but it's out there. Man, Empire Strikes Back. If you want a good laugh, ladies and gentlemen, go watch when Luke finds out on on YouTube. There's compilations of them. There's all sorts of individual videos of them. And to watch these kids see that and actually have it click in them for the first time, you want to talk about mind-altering shock in a good way, in a wholesome way. It's absolutely awesome. And I'm excited. Mall Shadow Lord concludes today. It's already out. Please don't spoil it for me. I plan to watch it, then promptly cancel my Disney subscription. Andy, you're a hypocrite. No, I canceled my Disney subscription back in 2017, and I re-upped it for one show. I don't even watch the Marvels on Disney. I got the Disney Blu-rays because I don't want to give them money like that, and neither should you. Neither should you. Well, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take an early reset. I'm happy about talking about Star Wars, but we've got Iraq to talk about. Or Iran, excuse me. We've got Iran to talk about. We've got to talk about the mainstream media and their whole full-fledged force push to make it seem like we're losing and how it's working. And we also got to talk about the farmers. Farmers, the ones that I'm talking to, I mean, in some of them are old timers, man. They are not remembering days like this. And I know I have friends out there saying, "Yep, I told you. Yep, I told you." And we can be in that group saying, "See, I told you so." And I guess it feels good for about a minute. But then the reality sinks in that just because you said, "See, I told you so," doesn't mean you're in the exact same boat as we all are. And as one of my friends said, "Andy, you would be like one of those people on the band on the Titanic playing the music as the ship went down." No, I'd be fighting to survive. I would have been one of the people saying, "Whoop, the ship's been hit. What do I have to do to survive?" I'm not going to dwell on the fact that the ship has been hit by an iceberg. I'm not going to sit there and say that, "Oh, it's not bad." I'm going to point it out and I'm going to move on. That's why we talk about having a garden. am looking to be a little bit more on the positive side than the negative side, but that's just me. This is 103.9 WYAB. I am Andrew Gosser. You are tuned in. We'll be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Want to give a shout out this segment. Sponsor of WYAB, not necessarily the show, but he is over at my house fixing my solar system. So we want to shout out Marty Cowden over at Cowden Electrical, full service electrical contractor in Brandon. He'll go anywhere in the major Jackson area. And I just want to tell you, I've had a couple of different electric contractors out to my house to look at my solar system. It's been acting a little bit funny, and Marty got it right. And he came over on a Saturday, which really helped me out, and it helped him out. And he just solid dude, working through the problems. You get a solar system and you think you got it all done right. Man, I'm telling you what, I genuinely wish I would have had Marty come out and look at everything after it was said and done. Something so simple as a grounding wire might have saved me a couple $1,000. And it is what it is, but I am so grateful and thankful. You can find Marty on the web. It's just Cowden Electric, COWDEN electric.com. You can also give him a call at 601-591-0339. You can email Michelle at Cowden Electric, and they'll get back in touch with you. Great people. It's really easy to do ad reads for this and spontaneous stuff, just when you know the type of quality of work that you're getting from the people that you're calling. So to him supporting WYAB and being my electrician of choice, I just wanted to give that shout out real quick. Thanks for everything, Marty. Appreciate it. So I also did get some texts on Star Wars. Darth Vader is my favorite. Couple Luke fans. Lady said she loves Star Wars, but didn't tell me who she liked. And just my favorite personally is Darth Maul. And I know that's very rare for a Gen Xer to have Darth Maul, but I loved his storyline, kind of identify with it and its craziness. And it was definitely cool to see them come back with his own show. But that's not what we're here to talk about now. We're here to get on something Brother Rick sent to me. 70% of farmers can't afford to grow all their crops. Full disclosure, at the BA farm, our lamb crop is we're surging. We can't keep the lambs around. And people have been asking for them, and we've got some rams if you want some rams, but our females are used. People are realizing that lamb is the easiest meat to grow next to rabbit and chicken. It's not poultry. It's not rabbit. It's the wild meat, I guess you would call it. And they're going. Now our chicken and turkey production way down. It's not that we're getting out of that business. It's just the work for it is not the same. And we won't be doing any more livestock guardian dogs. It's just too much work. But when I talk to some of my neighbors who are growing grains, whether it be soybean, sweet potato, whatever, they're hurting. They're hurting. And Forbes came out with this study. And what's really interesting about this, even before I read the first line, they show a graph of gas prices. And gas prices are a full $2 cheaper today than they were under Biden. But we don't have the doomsday news media talking about that, do we? The war in Iran and impact on oil and energy have continued. Gas hit $4.12 a gallon on Monday, April 27th, as the Hill wrote, in its highest price since the beginning of combat. Notice how they don't go back to the previous president. They can't go back to that, because if they do, then people start to put two and two together. And those of us who do have common sense and deductive reasoning left in us, we can say that, hey, it's not really that bad. But gas did hit $4.12 a gallon. But the majority of farmers I know, we're more worried about the price of diesel than we are the price of gas. Diesel is absolutely astronomical right now. I am so happy I saw this coming, and right before the war kicked off, I got a bunch of diesel, and I'll be okay. Hopefully it'll last me enough to get through the worst of this. If not, all right. National gas prices on all formulations are worse than the publication wrote. Other than the $5 per gallon of June 2022, the highest price since August 1990. Now, for those of us who know, that's a damn lie. I can remember in 2013 and 2014 paying $4.29 a gallon. And it's absolutely infuriating to me. I don't know how they track this, but they go back to they got some grayed out areas. I don't get it all. But it goes on to talk about how farmers cannot afford to plant their crops. Notice I didn't say fertilize their crops. And I know I see my prepper friends and others like that, they're sitting there jumping up and down, saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there shouldn't be any joy in this. This should be, I'm hoping that you all have your gardens going and you all are going onto YouTube or Rumble or your social media platform of choice and learning how to can and preserve. Because first you're going to see the food prices soar. You think they're high now, give it a month, give it 2 months. But that's when all of a sudden the Kroger tree is not going to be giving any more fruit. The Walmart meat market is going to even have more crazy prices and mismanaged weight. I cannot stress this enough. And the fact of how low this is in the social media scheme of things. If it, and you know, we've all heard the two major rules of the major news media corporations: sex sells, and if it bleeds, it leads. So unless it's got something to do with Epstein and the Republicans, it doesn't get any coverage. Unless it has to do with the Iranian war and Republicans, we don't talk about it. But I think about these food deserts in Mississippi, in Jackson. I mean, you're going to see real starvation. You're going to see the worst in humanity come out if these projections come to pass. And I'm not saying that we need to give farmers special dispensation, but when I see a farm bill go through and it protects the people who create the pesticides that are killing our farmers and killing our people, but not necessarily helping the farmers, well, then I've got a problem with that. And you know, Cindy Hyde-Smith and Roger Wicker voted for the farm bill. I wonder how many lobbyists who did the pesticides language put, you know, how much that went to our good senators. I mean, that would be, for me, automatic no vote, or at least pull that piece of legislation out and highlight it and let people vote for it individually. And then I can hear my friend in politics, Paul Sawaka, going, Andy, you can't do that. It's absolutely shameful. So let's go on. National gas prices. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. It could also get worse, not only by creeping up toward the 2022 price, but also rise to what used to cost, be given to the impacts of inflation over time. Like the following version of the graph, which shows the process adjusted, they're talking potentially up to $7 a gallon, which would be tough. That would be tough if you think about $7 a gallon. Now, all of a sudden, those Teslas are looking pretty sweet. And everybody who's driving a Prius, mine doesn't have a coexist symbol on it. Now we're just barely making it. And this is a way how they're going to try to get at Trump. Meanwhile, we have Project Freedom starting today. I already got one text in. I've got it right here. A Korean-operated vessel reports damage in Hormuz, no casualties. This was updated just a little while ago. And, you know, the United States is going to open up the Straits of Hormuz, and the oil is going to start going through there again. But this, to me, has shown two things, and I am not afraid to say them, and a lot of politicos don't want to talk about this. Number one, it goes to show that the United States has been pimped out to OPEC and oil nations of the world. And number two, the people who want to change that are the bad guys. Trump getting rid of Venezuela out of OPEC was a bad thing. Destabilization. United Arab Emirates leaving OPEC, the fourth biggest producer, is a bad thing. And by the way, they're doubling their pipeline out of the Suez. All of a sudden, you have Iraqi oil. Yes, Iraqi oil, ladies and gentlemen. leaving Iraq via tanker truck, driving through Syria to Lebanon to get to port. And by the way, Iran, do you know how they're trying to get rid of their oil now? I saw it on X, and I thought I hit the bookmark button, and I didn't do it, but I know I saw it, so you're just gonna have to trust me. They are now using Toyota Tundras, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm not sure if it's a Tundra, but I know it's a Toyota. It's got the Toyota symbol. Full of barrels of oil going through the Pakistani mountains because their reserves are so filled up. The blockade is working, and it's like we do not want success. It's like America wants to rip victory out of the jaws of defeat. It's mind-blowing to me. On our side, and Clay talked about it this morning, about some of these people who, I'd vote for Trump 3 times, but it's just too much. The Jesus meme is just too much. I don't like that Jesus meme. If it was me, I'd sit down and say, President Trump, do you know what you did here? This is something not good, brother. But there's those people who just have this acidic reaction to no matter what it is. Oh, we got a phone call. Let's take it. Hey, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes. How you doing today? This is Willie.
Hey, brother Willie.
I just wanted to say, maybe a little off topic. I heard you talking about it the last hour. I saw something on TV yesterday that was very disturbing to me. I saw a well-known pastor talking, and he came out, and instead of preaching about the Lord, he started talking about Donald Trump being a racist, and his administration is a racist, and things like that right there. And then he kind of, if I remember correctly, compared him to situations like Hitler and all of that right there. And he was saying that Trump voters are the one that he gets most complaints from nowadays. And I'm saying, wait, you're saying that you didn't vote for him. Okay, great. But why is it that you criticize him? He said the way he did, and he called him, I think, Gestapo or something, that the ICE, and how ICE would treat the people in Minnesota and things like that, and he liked shooting people down. And I'm saying, what? What about the people? They said that this person was trying to run over him, even hit one in office. That wasn't brought up. And I'm saying, he was talking about how he's going against the Bible, and I'm saying, why is it that you're not saying anything? Okay, you don't want to vote for Trump. You want to vote for someone that believes in killing babies, and the wounds?
Yep.
I can't understand that like that. So it was so disturbing to me. I turned the TV off. It was just disturbing, and I had to repent. I asked the Lord last night to please forgive me if I did something. If this is really one of his men, if he is truly a man of God, then please forgive me, for the way I felt about that, But I just feel like he said that people probably wonder why is he getting involved in politics. And he said that politics is in the Bible.
Yep.
And I just say, well, keep it normal. And then I heard you talk today about how people, you played these little things about Maxine Water and things like that. I said, well, this is why people got all this hatred going on.
Yeah.
Why don't we, back there doing Walter Cronkite and all of them, Roger Mudd, we didn't have all this hatred. We supported the president. And I spent 20-some years in the military, and the first thing I learned was support the office of the president. You don't have to like the man.
Yep.
Support the office.
You're exactly.
I know I've said too much and held you on too long, so I just wanted to tell you that, okay?
Well, Brother Willie, I appreciate it, and it's wise words, and we're praying for you, brother. We're praying for your healing. I want you to all know that, and I put that out over the airwaves as often as I remember it, brother. I hope you have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yep, that's Brother Willie. Wise words. and it does get into like the politics of the pulpit is real. And I wasn't really going to touch on that too much today. I guess I could run into it a little bit. I did want to talk about the farmer stuff though, because it's going to affect all of us, rich and poor, black and white. Phone caller, I see you calling, but I got to take a break. I'm long. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah, we need a little bit more cowbell here on the Andrew Gosser show. I love it when we get phone calls coming in, but right when they come in at break, it's tough. And if you want to call back, that's fine. But if I don't grab you, it's not because I don't want you on the air or anything like that. It's because we've got to pay the bills here at the Andrew Gosser show, and it's important to me. Last subject that I had show prepped for today was coming from the Wall Street Journal. And it's a topic that a lot of Republicans have debate on. I'd honestly say that this is the most hotly debated topic in Republican circles. And the title of this story is No Country for John Cornyn, a Texas GOP senator's last stand. Now, if you're my flavor of conservatism, you would say that John Cornyn is more of an establishment type of person, much more like Roger Wicker is. That's the kind of level you put him at. And he's being challenged by the Attorney General, Ken Paxton. And it looks like Ken Paxton may win. And the Wall Street Journal, of course, is bemoaning this. And they're getting into this big debate where, is Ken Paxton going to go along with the GOP status quo? Just like Brother Dogfist texted in earlier, and I did remember this, pass the Save America Act ASAP. Ken Paxton, you would never have to worry about where Ken Paxton stands. Where John Cornyn, he slides himself and he votes the right way, but you never get to how he got to that point. It's all subterfuge. And I'm not saying every elected senator or every elected congressman or every elected state rep or every elected state senator is like that. But a lot of them are. And we are in a very serious situation here because we are going to have Republicans who are not going to be voting Republican because they've been bought out. Allies of the four-term senator like to emphasize, in the face of criticism otherwise, that that he is very conservative. Now, I would like to ask conservatives in Mississippi. We've had on Dr. Patricia Williamson of Minnesota. She thinks Mississippi conservative Republicans are the best. Do you feel that way? Do you notice how people always on the outside looking in think how great something is, but they don't see all the inside stuff, how the sausage is made? You can say that about your favorite restaurant, your favorite radio station. It looks all great on the outside, but on the inside, hey, there's some kinks in there. There's some things that we got to get worked out. Austin, Texas. Ask Senator John Cornyn's loyalists about him, and the same words come up over and over again. Steady, statesman, calm. They aren't words associated with politics anymore. And it's true. It's like the statesman years are over. And I would just argue, if we go back and look at our founding fathers, and I know I haven't done one in a while. I've just lost the dread to remind me to go ahead and make sure I get it done. But if you look back at our founding fathers, people like Benjamin Franklin were not very statesman-like. They would throw down when they have to throw down. I can think of some Mississippi politicians who would throw down when they had to throw down, and they paid the price for it. And other politicians see that, and they're like, well, I don't want to have happen to me what happened to him. Or I don't want to have happen to me what happened to her. The senior senator from Texas is locked in a fight of his political life after 4 decades in public office. Well, that's the first cue right there. 4 decades in public office. Get the heck out of there. Andy, it takes time to work up the ranks. It takes time to work up the ranks. It was never supposed to be like that. Well, that's how it is now. No. I find it interesting that in this article, it takes until the third paragraph in the second sentence in to mention his opponent's name. The primary runoff against firebrand Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton at the end of May is testing the future of the Republican Party in Texas and this country, serving as the barometer of whether there's still room for a quiet, old school, aisle crossing pragmatist in President Trump's America. And people want to tell me that the New York or the Wall Street Journal is conservative. If anybody needs to be crossing the aisle right now, it's the left to the right. The right did cross the aisle to the left, and we got trans kids and trans shooters and the LGBTQ agenda and in Common Core. Sorry about that. Tipping my tongue right there. It gave us a bunch of garbage that ended up not working. I can remember when it was Agenda 2020 and now Agenda 2030. I'm sure there's some other agendas out there. Digital ID. There's no country for John Cornyn anymore. Former top aide said, there's no longer a system that's built on funding common ground. It's not. But they're making it sound like it's the Republicans' fault. You know, how many times do Republicans have to come out and say, look, this isn't the way it's supposed to be? How many times does the political right have to acquiesce to the left? As a pastor once told me, it doesn't matter when good acquiesces with evil, it's evil. And I've used a couple of different analogies for that, and I think we've explained that enough. But back to my point, this whole article is making it sound like those of us who are on the political right, who are outsiders getting in, it's our fault. And it's all based on cynicism. I would say that is all based off of the social media, or not even the social media. It's the media we can consume, whether it be Netflix, Disney, Google, Citizen Free Press, Ground News. You think you're trying to get like information that's unbiased. There's always a bias to it, right? But they're all trying to say that it's somehow Ken Paxton's fault. Maybe it's because of how John Cornyn voted that there's so many disenfranchised Texans. Allies of the four-term senator like to emphasize that in the face of criticism otherwise, that he is very conservative. Data collected by GovTrack. I wonder what the Liberty score would be on him, which analyzes congressional data, rated him the 12th farthest right senator. Now, that's not saying much in Washington, D.C., where it's all left as left can get. When you look around Washington, D.C., they're all blue counties. It's all fed by the government slop. And they're trying to say that it's because of his demeanor. You know, I can appreciate that. I would have to say I was never a quiet one on the county board or as the highway commissioner. Always pretty vocal, to my detriment, I might add. But that's what this country needs right now. We don't need people to sit there and be, oh, I'm sorry. No, we're in a battle over our kids' minds right now. Over 30% of young girls think that they could be bisexual. Where does that come from? It never used to be that way. It was 2% before we approved of LGBTQ marriage. Oh, I'm ranting now. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show. We're going to take our last break. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. I didn't get to it this show, and I'm sorry, but there's a video going around right now showing the police dog at the correspondence dinner, pointing out that that dude was trying to put together a gun and pointed him out twice, and the dog officer didn't do his job and actually ran. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. If you haven't, go ahead and search it out. Unknown texter, you sent that to me. I had it in the rotation. It just got too far out, and I don't have enough time to give it justice that it deserves. And there's another story that I want to get to, one that probably isn't really big known here, but sometimes things as that were important in our childhood, they start to pass on. They pass away. And I was a big Cubs fan. I know we're Atlanta Braves network, and I'm totally down with the Braves doing what they're doing this year. I don't follow baseball like I used to, but growing up in Chicago as a Cubs fan, so I knew who Harry Carey was and his catchphrase, "Holy cow." And there were just certain broadcast callers you could love to hear Vince Scully call a LA Dodgers game. It's just poetry. And our kids today don't understand that. They have ESPN and Major League Network baseball, and we don't get those same voices over and over again unless you listen to WYB and Atlanta Braves baseball. Then it's all right. Then you get to know that connection, that specialness. Well, today, John Sterling, the voice of the Yankees, dies at age 87. And I'm just here to tell you, I can remember listening to this guy, and I wasn't even a Yankees fan. I wasn't even an American League guy. I was National League. So if I ever had to listen to the Chicago White Sox, then play the Yankees, and I was listening to a Yankees feed, then I would get it. But as I became more involved following baseball, especially during the early 90s, I was young in the Navy, going around. We had the Cubs fans, and we couldn't claim any World Series or anything like that. But I got to know this guy, and he had a very distinct home run call or game-winning call, and I want to play it for you now because it's going to be one of the last times you ever hear it, and it's special.
The stretch and pitch swung on and popped up again off third. Hayes has room. Hayes makes the catch. Yankees win. The Yankees win. The New York Yankees have won the 1996 World Series. They have surmounted every challenge. They have climbed.
And thank you to the Yankees for allowing me to use that for reporting purposes. I would play the whole thing. It's special. You can go find it on YouTube. Major League Baseball. It's cranking out right now. It's top of the hit list. But that's special, and I just wanted to give him that props. Be blessed and amen.